Okay, so this should be the start of that. Okay, so I'm just going to go over the assignment one more time and review what the parameters of the assignment are so that as you start to conduct research, you have an idea of what you're looking for. You have two options once you finish your book, and the first writing assignment choice is biographical influences. For this assignment, basically you're going to be writing a 2 to 3 page paper using 2 to 3 scholarly sources that investigate the connections between the author's life and this book that you just read. So you'll need to know information about the author's life experiences, the historical time period that they were writing in, their political views, philosophy, religion, and societal practices and customs of the time. You don't have to include all of that in it. Those are just some ideas. Basically, what you want to be looking for is a good biography of this person, maybe a couple. You also want to find some criticism that's going to show other people's views on the connections between this person's life and their book. And you can make your own connections between the biography and the book, and you're just adding the criticism in for support. So essentially, you want to look for those things as you are doing your research. I think this is a slightly easier paper because it's pretty straightforward. You're going to read the biography, pick out some connections between that and the book. If you think you see some things that might be influences for this writer on the book, great. And that's as far as it goes. You're just building those connections and comparing and contrasting. The other assignment is a little more loosely defined. You have to focus it yourself. The hard part about biographical influences is if you have a writer whose life doesn't really connect to the book. They've just written complete fiction that is disconnected from who they are as a person. If that's the case, you just don't want to choose this assignment. The second assignment does have a lot of options, though. I put that it's analysis of character and plot, but really you can choose any focus for this paper, just like you did for Hamlet. Remember, we came up with a thesis statement, made it really concise and focused, and then made sure that it was argumentative. And you would do the same thing for this one. It says to choose 2 scholarly critical articles. I would say 2 to 3 would be fine for this one as well. They should be as current as possible. Remember that there's a lot of criticism out there. All of these books are classics and they should have a lot of information on them. The first 2 that you find may not be the best, so I would recommend reading a lot and seeing what you can come up with. If you find something that's an interesting focus, like the feminist lens of Pride and Prejudice or sexuality in The Catcher in the Rye, those would be interesting topics that are focused and have a lot of criticism on them. When you do this, you pick your focus after reading through what the critics have said. If you have 2 articles that talk about the same topic, but maybe they cover different ideas, you'll want to compare and contrast those ideas to your own responses to the novel. So if you noticed things that Holden Caulfield said in Catcher in the Rye that indicate things about his psychology, and you want to write about that, that's a great place to start, and then you're just using the critics to do a comparison between your ideas and theirs. Okay, does anyone have questions about what the 2 types of writing assignments are? The only difference is that the first one is comparing the biography, and the second one is kind of whatever you want. It's just picking one aspect of the novel. Okay, here are where you're going to go for all of the databases. This is the Library Learning Commons. Badgerlink is the first one that I would start with. Badgerlink has pros and cons. You can find a lot of really good articles on here. The cons are that sometimes the full text is not available, and sometimes it's written at a very high level, assuming that you are an expert in philosophy or something like that. So you have to be discerning and read through and not just pick the first thing you see. When you go into Badgerlink, you will see this. It gives you a list of resources. Actually, sorry, when you go back to the beginning, the home page, it'll give you that first page you see like this. You could just do a super search. That's going to go through everything. I've actually decided that I like to refine it to some other databases. So this would be the part that I would have you write down. You would click on Browse by Format and then go down to Scholarly Journals. That's going to get rid of all of the magazine articles and things that are really not going to be pertaining to your needs. Okay, once you click on scholarly journals, you can go down, and there are 3 that I would recommend. One is ERIC. It's an acronym. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's ERIC. ERIC is a database that, let's say that I'm doing Jane Austen. I want to find out more information about her. This is a database that's available in colleges. So you'll probably use this one for an English class at some point when you go to college. So it might be a good one to start browsing through. You would just search and it would bring up something like this. You can filter it though and put limit to full text. When you do that, it's going to give you ones that only have the full text, and you won't get that library citation without any article attached to it. And then you would want to click on, let's say I want women consciousness exploration in Jane Austen and her works. If I click on the link, it's going to bring me here. I actually need to click on where it says full text from ERIC. So I would write that down too. Full text from ERIC is what you want to click on. And then it brings you to the ERIC website, and you can download the full text on PDF. And then you actually have an article that you can use. These tend to be professional studies. They're published in journals. They're written by college professors and other academics. Okay, so that's the first one is ERIC. The second one from BadgerLink would be Literary Reference Center. This one has some more basic information. So if you're just wondering, okay, I need more information about the book itself. I feel like there are some parts that I missed. Maybe there's a deeper meaning here that I'm not getting. This would be a good site for that. So Literary Reference Center. And then you could either search, I would start off searching for my author to see if I can find biographical information, or I would search for the title as well. And once you start narrowing it down, what you want to write about, you can narrow your search even further. But if I search for Pride and Prejudice, I should get some options. Or not. My computer's not working, so this is not a great day to make a video. Okay, last one is Humanities International Complete. This is specifically for the humanities, which would include history, English, arts. And so you would be able to find information on Humanities International Complete as well. So those 3 are on BadgerLink, and you can just scroll down and click on them and do a search through there, or you can hit the super search. Okay, so those are just a start. You also have Bloom's, of course, and you're familiar with Bloom's, so I'm not going to go too deeply into it, but it looks like this. And when you do that, remember that you do need to, you do need to hit criticism on here. If you just use a reference, that might be okay as a place to start, but it's not going to qualify as a critical essay. So you want to click on criticism to see something that's more scholarly. Okay, so Bloom's criticism. And then I have 2 more for you. Okay, one on here is Gale biography. And so if you're doing the biographical connections, you might want to choose that one. And I think maybe it's just under Gale databases. Oh no, biography and context right here. So it looks like this. If I search for my author, I'll be able to find stuff. If I search for my book, I won't. So this could be a place to get just one basic biography on your person, and you should be able to find facts about your author. You can hit read more. There are additional articles along the side as well. And for all of these databases, remember that the citations are on here, so you can hit the citation tools. I think it's a good idea when you find articles to just cite them right away. If you just copy and paste the citation onto a document, you'll be good to go when you get to that point. So be thinking about that as you're searching. And then the last one that I have on here is eLibrary. eLibrary is a pretty good site. I've been finding a lot of good stuff on here. But there are some things to note about this as well. So Jane Austen, oh wait, I want to do Pride and Prejudice on this one. I found a lot of good articles for both the title and the author on here. This also does have some ways to filter your results, and I would recommend clicking on scholarly journals for this one. But you also have to be really discerning because some of these are not about that at all. So I have spatial anxiety, adapting the social space of Pride and Prejudice. This one is pretty good, but it's getting into some highfalutin philosophy. This one, Pride Overcoming Prejudice, has nothing to do with my book. It's just borrowing the title. So read carefully, make sure that it's something that's useful to you, and make sure that the full PDF is available for you as well before you decide to use it. I do recommend printing. I think if we can save some paper by skimming to make sure that it's a relevant article before printing, that would be a good idea. If you're good at reading and annotating on your computer, that's a great idea too. Just make sure that you're saving them as PDFs because it can be hard to get back to them and to find them again, and that's going to take up too much of your time. Okay, do you guys have any questions right now? Okay, you guys get to use the rest of the time to work. Just remember that your book should be finished by Friday, and the survey needs to be done by the end of the school day on Friday.